is Mia Bennett, and this is my speech on how I think the state should require a test for everyone with a license to determine their ability to drive. If you have your license, then you know how scary it can be to drive next to a horrible driver, or maybe you are that horrible driver. I've had my license for more than a year now, and I've been driving with my permit for more than 2 years. I've seen so many wrecks and so many people swerving, running stop signs, and just today I saw someone run a red light while trying to turn left. I guess they were just tired of waiting, or I don't know what goes going on in their head. I could never tell you. I bet many of the people you have run into an experience with a bad driver, whether it be someone going before it's their turn at a four-way stop, or someone almost wrecking into you because they weren't paying the right amount of attention. I've had so many experiences with older people almost wrecking into me. If I wasn't paying attention to other drivers, then I would have gotten into a wreck because of them. One day, about a month or so ago, an elderly lady was trying to switch lanes, and I was in her blind spot, and I guess she didn't check her blind spot, and if it wasn't for me braking and getting behind her, then she would have had to pay for the damage that was done to my car, or the damage that could have been done to me. Imagine how much the record would minimize if people had to retake a basic exam that proves their ability to drive. According to Safer America in 2019, every year approximately 1.3 people die in car accidents. This is 3,287 deaths per day. Aggressive drivers have a lot to do with many of the wrecks. Speeding has killed 10,111 people in the United States in 2016, which takes for 27%, or a little bit more than a quarter, of all yearly crashes. As you can see, many people... Oh shit, I lost my spot. Many people have either forgotten how to drive or blocking my son. Or they never knew how to drive in the first place, which I don't see how people can get their license if they started out as driving like that. I really wonder. Many crashes have come from distracted drivers. Around half of deaths are caused by running red lights. Fatalities of pedestrians take for a number 3 of the top deaths, and half of it is due to running red lights. In 2017, all states that legalized recreational use of marijuana, including Washington, Colorado, Utah, and many other states, there was a 16.4% increase in pedestrian fatalities. On average, a pedestrian was killed by a driver every 1.5 hours every day, which are mostly caused by distracted drivers because they're on their electrical devices or the drivers are impaired. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. Okay. Speeding is the #1 cause of all wrecks on the highway. Speeding is the #1 cause of all wrecks on the highway. Driver-caused accidents, as in driver error, fatigue, distraction, and even impairment, were a problem in almost every crash of 2018. This is taking for 90% of all crashes were caused by those same errors that I just stated. Other certain driver error accidents have increased the risk of crashing or wrecking by 100 times more. In 2018, the number of deaths due to driving-related accidents has risen to 1.3 million a year. On average, 267 deaths a year are caused by backing into people from not paying attention to their surroundings, and 31% of these deaths are children under 5. Can you believe how many wrecks are caused by the own person controlling their vehicle? Well, there are also many wrecks caused that have only one car involved. Police stated that 58% of reported accidents have only one car involved in the wreck. I believe that the number of crashes would decrease if the state put a law legally stating that citizens should take a state dictating their ability to drive. The test should have some of the same things in the permit test that was included, but with more deeper questions added. We all know that the permit test was too easy, so they need to add questions that have to do with defensive driving. Also, another course that should be added to the permit class should be defensive driving. Instead of that course having to be taken through another class and people have to spend more of their own money on something that should be taught in a regular permit class. Defensive driving is an important skill to have while being on the road. The number one rule I was taught was to always think worse of the other drivers, because if you were to think that all drivers around you knew what they were doing, then you wouldn't be as cautious for everyone around you that you should be. That is my input on how I think everyone should be required to take a certain test dictating the citizen's ability to drive. If the person fails their test, then they shall have the license revoked until they can prove that they are able to drive correctly. Thank you. That is my persuasive speech on how people should take a test dictating their ability to drive by Mia Bennett. Thank you.